Boeing's first stage booster is gone. North American's second stage booster is gone. Now we've got the S-4B stage and the LEM. Okay, so we're a very small vehicle, and this massive extraterrestrial vehicle is coming. Looks like it's going to hit us. It didn't, and it had no intention. Simply came in, moved around us, and finished its orbit. Then those guys eventually landed on the high edge of the craters, like the steep part of the outside edges of the round craters. They didn't land, they parked above it and they hovered.
They were hovering, just like it shows in your drawing?
Yeah. It was determined that when Neil Armstrong said, "Good God, sir, they are enormous," referring to these massive extraterrestrial craft. Okay? They weren't crafts, they were ships. They were not crafts, they were ships. And so for them to be parked around the edge of the crater, above the surface, floating, okay, and then many of the reptilians standing with their legs apart, standing up on the ground.
They're on the surface. The reptilians are on the surface of the moon. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, they're standing underneath the ships.
And you saw this?
Yeah, and
were they scaly? Did they have?
Then the word came back. They're giving us the finger.
Your advisors use the term "the others"?
Yes. In my communications with certain people within my advisory group, it is referred to as the others. The others makes a lot of sense because the first thing people need to realize about the UFO phenomenon is it is intelligence that is here, has always been here, and I think calling them the others makes a lot more sense because they're in our oceans, they're on our moon, they might be underground in certain places. So you're talking about the other groups of intelligences that are here on the planet with us. They really were. You know, I remember being at a party and someone whispered in my ear that worked for one of these big defense contractors and said, "Hey, we've been mining on the moon for 30 years. For 30 years, we've been mining on the moon."
And this guy's serious. This was a serious person.
It's a very serious person, and but no one knows about this stuff. So a lot of my fascination, you know, it isn't about trying to prove that aliens are real. It's more or less like, you know, if there's a secret about this stuff, there's a good reason. It's either these guys are so scared of something that they haven't been able to do what they needed to do, or they don't have all the facts yet, so they're not ready to release it. There's something that they're either scared of or they're not sure enough in themselves to release it, and that's the kind of thing that I ask myself, like, what is the reasons for them not telling people? It's because, I would believe the only reason is because they're too scared to. Not because it's going to bring down religion, not because it's going to make us all run around in circles. I think it's because they're trying to do something that's much more serious.
And that's the way they viewed the Wandjina stories. The Wandjina stories were essentially stories of beings that came down and visited the Aboriginal people 30, 40,000 years ago. There are similar stories, by the way, that go right back to Assyrian civilization. I mean, the other side of this that is fascinating is I've been engaging with archaeologists and anthropologists who've talked to me about the implausibility of a lot of the modern explanations for some of the ancient buildings that exist on this planet that do not fit within the time frames of known human technology being developed. Even some of the Egyptian pyramids could not possibly have been built within the time frame that we've described because they were working with bronze axes. And you have almost laser beam accuracy in some of the buildings that were constructed. Some of the people that I've been talking to in the Pentagon have told me that they think there is strong evidence to suggest that there was a previous civilization on this planet. And one of the things that's been suggested to me is that there might have been a civilization that has shared this planet with us that never left.
all the different areas of the world have different...
You write that Bush said to Chirac, quote, "Jacques, you and I share a common faith. You're Roman Catholic, I'm Methodist, but we are both Christians committed to the teachings of the Bible. We share one common Lord." Bush goes on to say, quote, "Gog and Magog are at work in the Middle East. Biblical prophecies are being fulfilled. This confrontation is willed by God, who wants to use this conflict to erase his people's enemies."
Their DNA was examined, and they know what that alien genome looked like, and they look at humans, and they can identify the same sequences in human genome. I think that's what led them to believe that there's a hybridization of humans. And they further said in this one-day symposium that there are familial lines, there are families that have not only alien DNA, but enhanced alien DNA of interest to CIA.
You know, isn't it weird that I'm learning these things about human consciousness and how it repels negative things or whatever? And my band Angels and Airwaves did a double album in a movie called Love.
Yes, right.
As an experiment. As an experiment.
Right.
Because it was an experiment of intention. I saw some dude freezing water molecules, and he would write on a piece of paper. He would write love or hate or whatever. And depending on what he wrote on that piece of paper, he would tape it to these little jars of water. And under the microscope, if he just wrote with a pencil love, the water would freeze in these beautiful symmetrical crystals. If he wrote rape or hate or war, they would be these gelatinous blobs that looked deformed. And so I said, well, let's name this whole project Love, and let's write it weird with a little astronaut sitting on the moon and make it esoteric. And when people look at it, they all know what the word love means, so there's going to be an energy projected towards it, and let's see how good it does. Let's see if it matters. Let's see if that's a good art project. And it did insane. It did super good. And a lot of what that band is about is that kind of stuff, you know. But like now I'm like tripping because I was already kind of doing it, and now I'm like learning that's a real thing. That it's like a real thing that the military and the intelligence community and other areas of the DoD know about and take very seriously. That the human spirituality component of consciousness and the positive feelings of love and happiness is very important.